Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen Pop Culture and Justice League Monday. Drawn down to the end, we got Justice League America number 47 from Feptember, from February of 1991. Holy Lord. And we got Justice League Europe number 23, also from February of 1991. Story by Giffen, DeMatteis, art by Medley and Beatty. And here's story by Giffen and Jones, art by Sears and Elliott. Okay. We're continuing with Justice League America, which we'll hit first. The Glory-bound story. This is part 2 of 5. Introducing General Glory to the DC universe. Yes, basically Captain America, although a bit of a parody, but I think, a somewhat loving parody. It begins at Washington Square Park, where Mr. Miracle is doing some kind of escape act for free for the crowds. Blue Beetle and some of the others stop by to watch what he's doing. And there's this safe. He's locked inside. He's got to sort of get out of it. And here it's all coming. Hey, look, something's happening. Here comes the great escape. There's this rumble and this, and that's it. The crowd's a little annoyed. That's it? You're asking me? If I'd paid anything, I'd ask for my money back. And Beetle is laughing his butt off up there. How can you laugh? It's real easy, Ice. Here, I'll do it again. So they decide, well, we got to get him out of there. Let's take him back to the embassy. So out goes this claw, grabs the thing, picks it up, and starts moving. And in the audience, in the crowd, is Scott Free and Oberon. And he's like, what the hell do they think I'm in the safe? Worse, they think they have to save me. Nobody ever has to save me. Oh, I don't know about that. For instance, remember that time? Hey, where are you going? So they jump in a cab to get down to the embassy because, well, there's a little more going on than they realize. Well, you notice this flashback, the greatest Flash stories ever told, a 288-page hardcover spanning 50 years of the Flash, the inspiration behind the hit TV series. Yeah, that was a pretty good show. Not perfect, but that was a pretty good show. It was, at a minimum, it was an entertaining show. Well, while they're flying this safe back, it opens and out pops, well, sort of Mr. Miracle's replacement. If you know the old Mr. Miracle, you know right away who this is. They're going to find out, though, in just a minute. And Fire's up there as well, and she's like, oh, hey, there's somebody hanging onto the safe. I think they're about to fall. We better do. And he's like, no, Mr. Miracle can't fall. He's got those little disc things on his feet. He's fine. She goes, I don't think that's him. I don't think that's him. Well, here comes Light Ray, and he's like, Scott Free? Scott, what are you? Hi, father's curls. You're not Scott. No, but I wish I was. Speak up, young fellow. Where is Scott Free? Just get me out of this, and I'll tell you where Jimmy Hoffa is. So, of course, remember, they're both new gods, so he would know the real Mr. Miracle. While that's going on, we have this whole incident with General Glory. Orion instantly doesn't like him, but Orion also instantly hates everybody, so that kind of makes sense. And Guy's trying to explain, it's this old dude. He said these words. He turns in, like Shazam, basically. Turns into General Glory. John's kind of like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way that could be true. And then, of course, he also is like, well, actually, now that I think about it, all the weird stuff that goes around here, it probably is true. But here's the interesting thing. Guy's yelling at John Jones. He goes, you're making jokes. General freaking Glory himself is in the room, a guy who's a living legend, and you're making a damn joke? Now, young fella, that's not the kind of language that should be coming out of a hero's mouth. John is like, what? Why, children the world over look up to us as examples. What kind of example do you think you are when you talk like that? I know, sir, but it's just, he makes me so mad sometimes. Sir? Many a battle with the forces of evil has been lost because of a hair-trigger temper. You've got to learn some self-control, boy. I know, sir, you're right, and I'm sorry. Sorry? I know this seems quite incredible, my Martian friend, but I assure you this is no hoax, no dream, no imaginary story. It really is me. I like imaginary story. That's what DC used to call, that kind of stuff that they now have turned into other dimensions, but it used to just be imaginary stories. He goes, yes, but who are you? Why, I'm Lady Liberty's favorite son, Uncle Sam's boy on the front lines. That's hardly helpful, General. Give me some time alone with him, Jones. I'll rip the truth screaming from the pits of his stinking soul. Very poetic, Orion, but not exactly the path I'd like to follow just now. Feisty sort, isn't he? Oh yeah, feisty sort, isn't he? Boy like that needs a good guiding hand, firm but compassionate. And I'll bet you're just the man to do the guiding, Skipper. I'm not a man, I'm a Martian. And please, don't call me Skipper. And so that, by the way, he's going to be called Skipper by General Glory from now on. So they're kind of doing, like I said, a parody of Captain America with him. Clean cut superhero. But the amazing thing is, Guy actually listens to General Glory. He's still pretty cantankerous, but in front of General Glory, he'll actually tell him he's sorry about stuff. All right, well, Elrond, meanwhile, gets the call from Blue Beetle. Hey, we got a problem. We got to figure out where the heck Scott is. He lets him know that Scott sent him a message on the way to Embassy. I'll explain everything then. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, our little evil German scientist is building his greatest ray ever. But first, the crowning touch. I must insert the chrono-infractious atom-powered radioscopic power unit. But I must be very, very careful. Should there be the slightest misstep, should this unit fall from my hands and hit the ground, the results would be... thunk. Catastrophic. Oh, disastrous. Oh, my God, I almost got it. Well, he's speaking in German, so it's translated. So catastrophic works as well. So he starts running. Boom. Giant explosion in this building. And what it does, it sets off a major fire that the League is going to have to respond to. And here we find out who we're actually dealing with, that it was not, in fact, Mr. Miracle. It is his apprentice, Shiloh, which, again, if you've read the old Jack Kirby Mr. Miracle stuff, you know about Shiloh. He was a character, a protege that was being trained really towards the end of the Mr. Miracle run. It was a pretty short-lived comic book. A lot of people forget this, but the whole New Gods thing was pretty short-lived in general. As big of an impact as Darkseid and the New Gods have had on DC in the long run, they didn't do all that great when Jack Kirby was first doing it, probably because it was like an infusion of the Marvel universe into the DC universe, and DC fans did not like Marvel that much back then, and Marvel fans didn't like DC. Very different ways of storytelling. So Jack Kirby was not welcomed with open arms by the fans of DC Comics, the little knuckleheads. Okay, so we're meeting Shiloh for the first time. He's taking over as Mr. Miracle, but he's still got a lot of learning to do. You see Max getting home from the Russian embassy, trying to sneak up, but nice try, Max, but you can't sneak past a telepath. Rats. So he's now trying to figure out what the heck's going on. I like this. I feel like I just warped into a parallel universe. Hey, Lord, you ought to put a leash on this bunch. They almost killed me. I know I'm going to regret this question, but who are you? Mr. Miracle. Of course, the Mr. Miracle of Dimension X. So pleased to meet you. John, what the heck is going on? And this is when they discover the fire at this refinery, which, if it goes, could really do a lot of damage to this city. So off they go. Shiloh is not going to be allowed to jump right into action. He's not ready yet, John. He needs a little bit more, a little more help. He goes, that's no fair. It's eminently fair, young man. Now I suggest you do what Scott suggested. Observe. You just may learn something. Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Skip. Don't say it. About to call him Skipper. Kind of reminds you of Perry White. Don't call me Chief. So they get there, and basically you're going to see Ice and Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, trying to put out this fire. Shiloh's annoyed. I'm not going to go look. He's only 18, so he's kind of throwing a little temper tantrum there. And then General Glory discovers that there might be somebody still left inside. So He runs in. He hasn't done this for a while. He's a little out of practice. Notice he grabs a garbage can lid. So he's got his shield. And he runs in. And what's that there on the landing? Just hang on, friend. I'm General Glory, and I'll have you out of here in a blue blazes. An Uberbot. Yes, an Uberbot. And it falls over and crashes through the floor, taking General Glory with it. But this is a 5-part story, and we're only in part 2, so there's a good chance he's going to survive. Well, Orion manages to put things out by boom tubing a good chunk of the East River into the middle of this fire. And when Guy finds out General Glory was in there, he goes a little bit nuts, trying to kill Orion. John, shouldn't we get between those two? I'd sooner wrestle 2 mating alligators. No, I think we should check the wreckage for any sign of Mr. Jones, could we get a comment on, with their usual impeccable timing? So the press has shown up, and they show up just in time for General Glory to emerge, having saved a dog. And the press loves it. The press is eating it up. And Max is saying, maybe, we should do exactly what Guy wants us to do, which is induct this guy into the Justice League, General Glory. Perhaps it's not as strange as it sounds. After all, we've got 2 gods, an ice goddess, a robot, an idiot with a magic ring, a grown man who flies around in a giant bug, and a green man from Mars. So, who's to say comic book characters aren't real? Who's to say indeed? The dog's not bothering you, is he, son? As a matter of fact, no. So, we see Guy once again curbing his temper in front of his hero. Next, the last Nazi story. Would we kid about a thing like that? That'll be in our next issue of Justice League America. In Justice League Europe, we're going to learn something about the Crimson Fox, who has been somewhat of a mystery since she joined the League. They put her in there mostly because she was, French, and they didn't have any European members. Well, they had Rocket Red, but Soviet, a little different than Western Europe. So we're going to learn a little bit more about her in this one. We're in the London Embassy. Kilowog is trying to fix things up, which they're all kind of like, okay, but, the last time you imploded the entire friggin' embassy into nothing, so let's hope you do a little bit better than that. They're also finding out that Interpol wants to register all the superheroes. And Kara doesn't like it. It's un-American. Now, mostly what they're doing is getting their names and stuff like that, because Interpol has a new, superhuman, enforcement squad. They're trying to get a handle on all this stuff. So she's really annoyed. And we have Crimson Fox there, and she's kind of flirting with Captain Atom, which, frankly, Catherine does not like, because she has been flirting with Captain Atom. All right. Well, Crimson Fox leaves, and she's kind of like, what did she say? Oh, tisk, tisk, tisk. I am such a bad girl. But that Captain Atom, I just can't seem to help myself. Maybe next time I'll give him a bit of a push. My, wouldn't that complicate things? Tee-hee. She heads back to Revson, obviously based on Revlon, which is the company that she runs. She's sort of a billionaire like Batman, doing the superhero thing on the side. But what we ultimately discover here is there's actually 2 of them. There are 2 Dahomey sisters. I think that's how you pronounce it. Again, I just don't know. One of them is named Constance, and the other one is Vivian. So Vivian and Constance. And so we kind of get their backstory here that involves a rather wicked man who was in charge of Revson. I think their father owned it initially. And they come up with this sort of a substance, a sort of a perfume that can, I want to say control people was what it was. And he's going to use it for all sorts of evil. And in the process, it is tested on their mother, who ultimately dies from those tests, but she gives birth to twins. And the twins might have, gained a little something from that exposure. They're not real explicit about that at this point. Now, the sub-story is about this guy who is joining this exclusive club that is actually dedicated to, you guessed it, evil. It's all based around tuning forks. The target is chosen. The omens are true. The tuning fork stands ready to ring the music of the spheres. A new initiate brings his hatred to join our circle. Okay. And so what is this going to have to do? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out what all this has to do. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself and getting behind myself at the same time. The world does not know about the Dahami twins because one of them, they basically faked her death. And that way, they can do a better job of being normal person and superhero if there's actually two of them. They can appear at the same time, etc. That's kind of their plan. And so the one who is known to still be alive, so to speak, is also offered membership into this particular club. And here's where we get the actual full story. Multinational perfume corporation, Pointure Grande Parfumerie. And we find out there's the research. That's their parents. I just hit my keyboard accidentally, if you wondered what that was. And let's see. So here it is. A montage of years passing years. The lovely chemist passes on. The noble Andre adopts the poor twin girls. Another passage of time. The girls come of age. And then Andre tells them everything. How Maurice Pointure's experiments killed their mother, killed over a third of the research group. It was guilt over his own part in this that caused the man to adopt these twins. The twins make their decision. They will avenge their mother however long it takes. And at last they do succeed. Pointure Parfumerie, buyout. Violence erupts, horrible violence. Andre goes to gloat. And Pointure vanishes. The twins develop the company into a major conglomerate, but not only a perfume maker, but a publisher and more. But it is not enough. Maurice Pointure now has 2 deaths to answer for, and they would make him answer. They take their cue from an American named Batman. They stage the death of one to establish the perfect secret identity to the world. They are one woman, Vivian Dahami, the Crimson Fox. Okay, so there's your little background. And the fact of the matter is, the 2 twins have different personalities, which is why one of the twins speaks English without the sort of, without as much of an accent. And she's a little bit more businesslike, and the other one has, a little bit of the Peppy Pew accent going, and she's a lot more, flirtatious than her sister. And she's also convinced she's the one who's better looking, even though they are identical twins. Okay. So sure enough, though, that evil club organization cult is run by Pointure, who has plans to destroy the sister that is still alive. It can't be. Industrial plants don't just vanish. Then show us where it is, Captain. Funny, the soil's so rich here, almost black, and it's only here where the plant was. Are we sure Kilowog wasn't installing an electrical system here? Man, this is weird. If it ain't... Oh, no. If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. Okay, so what happens? They have shown up to this site where there was an industrial plant, but it's gone. There's not a hole there, but there is soil, but it's different, obviously, than the soil around it. And they can't figure out what happened. And what does Metamorpho discover? It belonged to Simon Stagg, his almost father-in-law. What the hell happened to my plant? What are you idiots doing about this? Never mind, it's worse. So Simon Stagg shows up. We do see Java here. You remember that issue a few back where Java had his arms sort of melted by Metamorpho's little baby son? Now he looks like he has robot arms. Doesn't look real happy about it, though, even though now he can, open jars and stuff. But at any rate, while they're arguing, there is a sort of a tremor, sort of an earthquake, and then sort of a giant worm bursting from the ground. And I mean giant. There's our little heroes right down there. So you can see from the scale. Yeah, that guy's pretty big. What are they going to do about that? Well, we're going to see that over a couple issues in Justice League Europe. We're going to find out what's all behind it. And it's a chance for the Crimson Fox to finally, maybe, avenge the death of her parents. Very nice. Justice League America, number 47. Justice League Europe, number 23 from February. Not Feptember, but February of 1991. Good issues. We're forwarding some stories now. Like that they're delving into Crimson Fox, who I will say really became one of my favorite characters. I don't think we're going to get to the issue, but she has this wonderful speech against nihilism, which a little bit, I think, was directed towards the trendy nihilism that was finding its way into comic books at the time, but certainly finding its way into culture, as it still is. Love that little speech. Crimson Fox is a very, very cool character, honestly. And General Glory is pretty fun as well. Again, he's a bit of a parody of Captain America, but there's also sort of an undeniable, but he's right. He's a good guy, and we shouldn't behave that way, and we should do better, and we should be heroic, and we should be good. So very cool character. We got 3 more parts of this story. And like I said, I think the worm story is going to be over a couple different parts. So keep in touch for that one. They will be coming up on future Justice League Mondays. Of course, let me know what you think in the comments of these. If you enjoy these little video reviews, please like, subscribe, share with a friend. We do Justice League Monday every Monday until the end of this year. And then next year, we'll be looking at a different series. More on that later. I think I've decided for sure which one I'm going to do, but we'll talk about that in December. So, like, subscribe, share with a friend. Until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there, and I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.